We will call this council meeting of November 18th to order. Respecting as the First Nations within whose unceded lands the Kaslo is situated, including the Tanaha, the Snakes, and the Siletz people, and the Indigenous and Métis residents of our community. To order at 6:01. Can I have a motion to add a late agenda item, which will appear as 8.1 on your agenda? And that is the Kaslo Community Services Community Development Program application. By Councillor Lang. Oh, can she move it because she's in conflict with that item?
It's fine.
Okay, all right. So moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? It's carried. So then to adopt, the recommendation is to adopt the agenda as amended to include the late item.
Discussion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, just, I don't see any correspondence on our agenda. I'm just curious, it's the first time
Oh,
not seeing any correspondence.
okay.
Yeah, through the chair, the correspondence we might get typically put on the agenda. When we reviewed it, it wasn't addressed to council and it wasn't, it didn't fit the policy requirements of the policy. So this agenda didn't have any items to add. Yeah.
Any further discussion on the adoption of the agenda? All those in favor? It's carried. And then if there are no errors or omissions, the recommendation is that the minutes of the October 28th, 2025 regular meeting and the November 4th special regular council meeting be adopted as presented. By Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Leafwood. Discussion, Councillor Bird.
Yeah, we're talking about the minutes. So, I was listed as being present at the November 4th special meeting and I wasn't there.
Where is the date incorrect? Are we talking?
Well, I had read the November 4th special meeting minutes.
Okay.
And yeah, for one thing, there was a delegation, which is not met.
Oh, that's right.
And also I'm listed as being present and I was not.
Make those adjustments then.
I'm gonna make those adjustments and probably bring it back to the next meeting with the corrections.
So then won't pass them as then the motion is no longer valid because they're not being adopted as presented. And that was what was moved and seconded. So we'll repeat that and because it was moved and seconded, it became an item of this table. So all those in favor of adopting them as presented? Okay. Any opposed? Carried. And that then the recommendation is that the minutes of the October 28th, 2025 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented. Good, seconded by Councillor Bird. All those in favor? Carried. We have no delegations and information items. I've provided a written report along with a copy of the an item from the Municipal Finance Authority. That is their quarterly newsletter. And just for information, that's because I am to that committee, and that's why I'm providing it, because I get received that. So are there any reports from members of council? Councillor Brand.
Through the chair, The community forest met on October 30th. The minutes have yet to be approved, but once they are approved, I will submit those so that everyone can look at the agenda and the minutes for that meeting. So that should be on the next, I guess, at the next meeting, we should have those approved by then.
Councillor Leathwood.
To the chair, just reminding everybody, including the public, about our volunteer fair on Saturday. Between 12:30 and 3:30, we've got about 14 organizations signed up so far, so come by and see what volunteer organizations we have and sign up for one of them.
Any other reports before I move on to the CAO report? Great. Thank you. CAO Victor.
Thank you, Mayor Hewitt. Just a few items. One is on bylaw enforcement in general. So the village has had discussions with our legal counsel to receive guidance on how to deal with bylaw violations. So that might include revision to certain bylaws, such as our street and traffic bylaw, as well as the development of policies that clearly define the level of service or level of enforcement that council desires for each bylaw. And right now, the village has a general policy that we have a complaint-based approach, issue letters, and request compliance, but we lack policies, processes, procedures, and internal capacity to manage enforcement beyond voluntary compliance. And so if council would like to explore a different approach to bylaw enforcement, then direction would be required. Changes would likely require substantial staff time and resources to develop policies, processes, procedures. So would need to be considered within the context of your strategic priorities to make sure we have capacity. Next item would be related to the holiday season. Public Works staff are removing the seasonal banners and installing winter decorations over the next couple of weeks and preparing for the tree light up in early December. A little update on the proposed marina that you might have heard about for Kaslo Bay. So the village is aware of the application that's been submitted to the province by the private property owner that are looking to have a commercial marina in Kaslo Bay. The application will be referred to the village in due course, but it hasn't been asked of the village to comment at this point. So once we receive information, then council can direct staff to provide input. And in the meantime, the province has been accepting public comments through November 12th. So that was 6 days ago when their comment period closed. And then with respect to the McDonald Creek Water Service Agreement that the village has with the RDCK, staff have met with the RDCK and there's been a revised draft that's been provided to the village. That document will be provided to council at your next meeting. And if everything looks good, it'll be sent off to the RDCK to proceed with. So more details will come at your next council meeting. Thank you, Mayor Hewitt.
Thank you, CAO Baker. Are there any questions? And we have committee meetings minutes from the Recreation Grant Committee and Arts and Heritage Committee. We will be having a recommendation coming from the Recreation Grants Committee under 7.1. And the Arts and Heritage Committee, did you want to comment on that, Councillor Leathwood?
Through the chair. So we're working with the Arts and Heritage Committee to try and showcase local art in Legacy Park rather than only sculpture walk. So we've had a couple of meetings with them now, and we've come up with sort of some parameters around encouraging local artists. And we're still going to always have the option of the sculpture walk, but we'll try and maybe alternate years, or this year probably didn't give enough time for an artist to submit something, so we'll probably go with sculpture walk. But they seem to be quite interested, so they've actually put their call for proposals out. It was on Facebook the other day, and yeah, I think it could be good. They think they've got a couple of artists' interests for sure. So we'll see how that goes.
Thank you, Councillor Littwood.
Um,
Go ahead, Councillor Burt.
through the chair, so I was just wondering about how you were in the minutes, they mentioned, that there's a youth group perhaps or a North Whitney Lake Arts and Heritage were interested in painting the concrete blocks on A Avenue, and I'm not sure what you're referring to as concrete blocks on A Avenue.
To the chair. If you drive up the hill, like from downtown on the left, close to the school, there are about 6 or 8 concrete blocks. And so one of the drama or the art teacher approached them and said they'd really love to do some painting on there. So we did talk about that as well, and they're gonna come up, and we gave them some guidelines, like it has to be appropriate stuff. So they're going to come up with some designs, and they'll submit them to the committee, and then we'll talk about them and submit them to council, and yeah.
All right, so that brings us to question period already. Are there any questions from the public? Go ahead, Doug. If it could be framed as a question, that would be ideal.
Sounds like good. So on October 7th, I submitted a letter signed by over 150 Lower Castle property owners and residents, representing over 200 people who live in the floodplain on the north side of Castle River. This letter presented information about plans for QP developments to build a 2,400-foot wall along the south side of the river, as well as our concerns regarding transfer risk of flooding to the lower Kaslo that this wall would cause. A copy was CC'd to several BC government branches, and a reply was received quite quickly from Chantal Grafton, Deputy Inspector of Dikes, which we attached to a letter submitted to the council on November 4th for tonight's meeting. However, this current letter was not listed as correspondence received on the agenda for tonight, nor is it available on the village website. So where is it? And how does the public get to see it?
Yellow Baker.
A couple of things. One is question period is supposed to be reserved for items that are on the agenda. So it's up to council whether you want to proceed with question.
I think you're asking a question about communication in general, and right,
About a letter that was submitted.
right. So I think because it's about communication in general, whatever the topic of the letter is, I would allow it to pursue.
Right? Yeah, okay, we'll go ahead, but as long as we don't go too long. I think the correspondence, maybe the method of distributing it has been changed so that we can view it ahead of time, and council members can choose whether to add it to the agenda as a business item. But as far as, because we've had a changeover in staff as well, so there's, obviously going to be a few glitches with that. And is that
So
site accessible to the public?
it might be, but I wouldn't say that that's relevant here. So the policy states that if there's an action item being requested through a piece of correspondence that's being received, where council needs to take some kind of action, then it can appear on the agenda. And so I'm just looking at it's dated November 4th, is that correct?
October 7th.
So there isn't a action that's posed by the submission, it's just information. And so it wouldn't appear on a council agenda in accordance with the village's communications policy.
So you mean that if somebody providing information to council that is not available to the public, so people don't know, how are we as the public supposed to know to get this stuff? I mean, what else don't we see that's being blocked from our view? This is a letter to council with, and when I sit here, I am effectively representing those people that signed that last letter. I'm their representative. They endorsed that letter through us and our efforts. And this is further to that letter. And it is very pertinent. And by not allowing this to be shown, you are keeping information from the public, which I don't think is right.
That's noted, Doug. Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Distance.
Did you have another question?
No, that's it. I'd like to know where it is and how are we supposed to see it? Am I in a position now of going back to all those people that haven't been informed them, talk to some already, and say that stuff that we're submitting to this council, because this is from all of us, and response from the minister to our concerns, that is not being recorded as being even received. It's not even received, never mind discussed. You're not even putting on there that you have received a letter from all of us about something that's very, very important.
I think this is something that council will take away and discuss with staff if we want to make any further changes to that policy or not. And but at this time, it isn't on the agenda. And so like I say, council has seen it. There is a section in our package. No, council members do not speak during question period.
Okay.
That's not a change, Councillor Brown. That has been since you've been on council. It's either the mayor or our staff that responds.
So if this letter has been distributed to councils, as it's been addressed to area councils, etc., the sole purpose of the discretion of Mr. Baker is to keep this from the public eye. It's not keeping it from your eye. It's not keeping it from staff's eye. It's strictly to keep it from the public eye. Am I correct?
I'm not going to answer that because I cannot speak for CAO Baker. We're following the policy that we've got. So so thank you, Doug.
You know where you stand.
So we'll move into business. First item is fall recreation grants. So the recommendation is that fall recreation grants for 2025, the intake recommendation that the recreation grants for the fall 2025 intake be awarded in accordance with the recommendations of the Recreation Grants Committee. And those are $500 each to Kaslo and Area Youth Council, Kaslo Youth Club, Kaslo Disc Golf, Kaslo Baseball Softball, Kaslo Cougars, Kaslo Racket Club, Kaslo and Area Senior Citizens, Kaslo Maypole Dance, Kaslo Curling Club, Kaslo Outdoor Recreation and Trails Society, and then for $400 to Kaslo and District Minor Hockey Association.
I need to recuse myself before this.
Oh, okay. I don't know, it's as a block, so we're not commenting unless somebody wants to dispute any of the awards recommended by the committee. I don't think it's an issue.
Okay.
So if somebody's would like to make that recommendation, Councillor Leakwood and seconded by Councillor Lang. Discussion? All those in favor? It's carried. And as per the report, there was only one that was denied because they did not meet the grant criteria. So the next item is the Kootenai Lake West Transit Service Establishment Amendment Bylaw. So the recommendation is that the Village of Kaslo provide consent to the Board of Regional District of Central Kootenai to adopt the Kootenai West Transit Service Establishment Amendment Bylaw number 3036/2025 for the purpose of changing the method of apportionment.
And move for discussion.
Moved by Councillor Brown, second by Councillor Bird. Councillor Brown.
Through the chair. I'm just wondering if someone could enlighten me, because I quite don't understand why the apportionment is determined by property value and not ridership, if I understood it properly. That seemed a little odd to me because property values don't directly influence ridership or point towards actual usage of the service. So I was confused why they use a metric like that.
There was a study done for the regional district on apportionment because it was far different than the present recommendation before the board. And it wasn't there's opportunity, there's miles traveled past the lake. So RDCK Area D, I think, ends up paying more than the Village of Kaslo does because they have opportunity. They have to pay the rolling miles as well. It's so complex. I wouldn't even be able to attempt to explain it. We've sat through, all the directors sat through several meetings, and the consultants looked at all of the different parameters that they use to set the rates. And this is the most equitable method that they could come up with for us to use. But I know it really doesn't help, but it is highly confusing. But it was trying to bring equity to it for the different areas. We get more opportunity because the bus goes up the lake, but it travels more miles to get up to the north end of the lake. So there's higher costs there, but we get higher opportunity costs because we have the ability to ride the bus more than somebody who is from the north end of the lake. They get one or two opportunities to ride the bus, whereas our ridership gets more. And the same as you move closer to Nelson and Castlegar in that area. So
That all makes sense. I just didn't get the property value aspect of it. That part all makes sense.
yeah,
Property value part seemed like a interesting aside.
Councillor Bird.
Through the chair, I read through it and I had to read it twice and I still don't get it.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, actually, it was formerly the method had been based on property value, which is why we didn't pay that much, because the sum total of our property value is less than Belfort, less than Nelson, whatever. And that's the one they decided was not fair. So the new system was built, like Mayor Hewitt alluded on a combination of opportunity and distance.
Yeah.
And so that means that we will pay substantially more and Nelson will pay less and Nakas will pay less by a factor of how much we are paying more. Like, it's quite substantial.
Huh.
Mind you, in terms of actual hard dollar numbers, it's not as, if we're paying 32% more, you're paying over 5 years, what, 18,000 more or something like that? So the actual dollar value is less scary than the percentages that are going to be increased. But hopefully that means we have a bigger stake in it, and it's really hard for me to judge their methodology and determine whether it's fair or not. But if you think in terms of actual taxpayer dollars, that increase over 5 years is not crazy. So like bite it, I don't know, because I can't argue the point properly because I'm not one of those life consultants, and I did find it extremely confusing. So that's kind of lame to say that I can't argue it because I don't understand it properly, but there it is.
Did you have anything to add? Okay. All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Carries.
Namely,
Item is the consolidation and revision authority bylaw that we had given readings to previously, or did we? Yeah. So the recommendation is that third reading of the consolidation and revision authority bylaw 1322/2025 be rescinded. Did anyone have any questions from the report that was provided regarding why it needed to be rescinded?
Oh.
No. And revised? No. Councillor Bird?
through the chair, is the first motion to rescind, and
Yes.
there'll be a subsequent motion to
Yes.
adopt.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll move the first motion.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Brown. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? It's carried. And that consolidation and revision authority bylaw 13/2022/2025 be given a third reading as amended. By Councillor Leithwood, second by Councillor Lang. And discussion? Councillor Bird?
Through the chair. Okay, so I understand the consolidation aspect of this motion, in that the when bylaws get amended from time to time, you end up with the original bylaw, and then you end up with a series of amendments, and it gets confusing for anybody to read, but that is still the legal document. But we are giving staff the authority to make a document public that is easier to understand without trolling through all the amendments and going back and forth.
Yes.
So I understand that part. And I agree with that part, that completely makes sense. So that there's a forward-facing document to the public that is not the mess that some of the bylaws, if they get revised from year to year. The one that I want to get some clarity on, the aspect of this motion that I'd like some clarity, is as far as the revision, the authority to give staff, are giving staff the authority to do revisions. I understand that the CAO may only make non-substantive changes to our bylaws, and that the changes that he is authorized to make must be also in compliance with the bylaw revision regulation, which is a provincial regulation. What I'm concerned about is for transparency and accountability, I would like council to be made aware of any revisions that are made by the CAO, that we have an opportunity to be notified that revisions have been made to a bylaw, and that we get to see the revised bylaw and where the revisions were made. I think that's important, that just for accountability, that we get notified. And maybe over the course of time, that this is not something that I feel is necessary because they'll all be so minor, but since this is a change for us here to grant authority to make revisions, initially, in many cases, I would like to be notified when such revisions are made. So that could be a subsequent motion.
Did you have any comment, CEO Baker?
I'd suggest giving first and second reading to the bylaw. Staff will go away and add a clause related to reporting back to council on changes that are made, and then council can give third reading to an amended bylaw.
Actually, right now, we have first and second done. We've just rescinded third, so we will just stop right now and then refer it to the next meeting, I think is what we can do. You can do a referral time, just refer the bylaw 13/20/22/25 to the December meeting, with the revision, with, well, direction given to staff to make that amendment if everybody
Well, it was
is,
moved and seconded, so do we have to
That's-
repeat?
if we're referring, a referral motion can happen anytime. We don't have to stop. That's just an instance where we can, but discussing referral only to the December meeting. The CAO Baker has heard the comment from Councillor Bird. So just on the merits of referring it to the December meeting, and okay, all those in favor of referral. So that will return to our December meeting then. That time we will consider, we will do third reading again of the amended bylaw. Right, 7.4 fees and charges amendment bylaw. We had discussed this and we've done first, second, and third. So this is for adoption. The fees and charges amendment bylaw 13/20/27/2025 be adopted by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Lang. All those in favor? It's carried. And we had discussed it last time that we can, I know there were elements that people wanted to discuss changing, but there were a few things that we needed to have done before the end of the year for water utility and sewer utility billing. So the rest of it can be brought back at another time if members of council wish to revisit some of the other fees and charges. But this allowed staff to proceed with doing their work to get out sewer and water billings for the new year. Right, and fees and charges amendment bylaw 13/2029/2025, and that is in regard to the campground fees. So, anyone have any questions for CO Baker on that item before I read the recommendation? So there was proposed increase to the camping fee. Hearing none, the recommendation is that the fees and charges amendment bylaw 13/29/2025 be read first, second, and third time. Moved by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Lang. Any discussion? All those in favor? That motion is carried. And public notice bylaw. This one, staff is on top of getting that in place. So we have something that we can fall back on if it should happen that the Valley Voice does indeed close at the end of the year. So the recommendation is that the public notice bylaw 13/28/2025 be read a first, second, and third time. Moved by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Leakwood. Any discussion? All those in favor? It's carried. And then our late item 8.1, and that is our community. Nope. Councillor Leakwood.
I'll recuse myself because I work for community services.
Oh. So the recommendation is that council approves the Kaslo Community Services application for $10,000 in funding for the Community Development Grant Program for the House Next Door project. By Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Lang. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Great. So then the recommendation is that the November 2025 regular council meeting be closed to the public pursuant to the community charter provisions, section 91. Is it for, it isn't referenced in there.
Give me a moment, we'll have to look it up.
Might go out the door.
I think Kirsten's gonna